Hi, I'm Anne Sharp. I'm an Associate Professor with the Ehrenberg Bass Institute. The project I did was about how some of the new brands like Uber, Lyft and EcoCaddy are disrupting traditional transport choices. So our project had a few main aims. The first aim was to look at these new share economy mobility transport options and see how similar or different they are to established much larger share brands. So the first way we did that is to look at the pattern that we know holds for all brands in all competitive repertoire type markets and say, brands are big for one reason, because they have more customers. And customers use them about the same amount as they use much, much smaller market share brands. So the big difference between being a big and a small brand is literally just how big your customer base is, and that holds everywhere. It's not about being a brand that has hardly any users, but those users use you lots and lots and lots, so you have a big market share. It just doesn't work that way. So we identified all the share economy new transport brands and had a look to see if this established pattern also held for them. And it did. So these brands are exactly like other brands, other choices we face in the transport market. The only difference is they just don't have many users yet. They are small brands. Another strong myth surrounding these new share economy transport option brands is that the users of them will be very different people. They'll be younger, they'll be more tech savvy, they'll have very different attitudes and opinions to some of the more established transport options like driving your own car or catching the bus even. So we investigated that. What we know from empirical generalizations in marketing is that brand user profiles very seldom differ. The users of one brand in the category look very much like the users of another brand in the category. And that makes good sense because actually people aren't very solely loyal. They tend to use multiple brands in the category, which means the user bases of each brand end up looking pretty much the same. But we wanted to see if these new brands were really disrupting the market and creating a partition, if you like, of sub-users who were all a little bit different. So we collected data on attitudes and opinions, and we profiled things that were important to them. We looked at their media consumption habits, and unsurprisingly to us, we actually found the empirical generalization holds. The users of the new transport options are exactly like the users of existing market brands, which is a really positive message because it means anyone can be your customer. The whole market, the whole users of the category could actually choose you. The biggest barrier you have is that you are just currently small. Not many people know about you and not many people are using you yet. We looked at the user profile of people who were using these new sharing economy brands. We wanted to see if they were consolidating all their transport with these new brands or if they were acting as we would expect, using them sometimes, but also using other transport options and whatever fitted best in their life. Because we know that most behaviour in categories, when it's facing a choice category, is repertoire in nature, which means one individual over a period of time will use multiple brands from that category, or in this case, take multiple different transport options. We were pleased again to see that the pattern held, that there was not a small group of people who were using these transport options lots and lots and lots and nothing else, that in fact these transport options did have a few very loyal customers, but by far the biggest part of their customer base was people who just use them sometimes. People maybe like you and me who just use them once or twice when it's convenient, but we use other transport options in different contexts. Overall, our project had a few really major implications for this transport category, and I have to say all of them are positive. The biggest implication is that these brands are normal, which means that all the principles that we have established in marketing for how to grow brands applies to these new sharing economy brands. What that means is that they face the same challenge all other brands face, which is to get big, you need two things. You need mental availability. That means you get thought of when people are coming into a buying situation where they could choose you as a transport option, and you need physical availability. So you need to be able to be chosen. The implications of this are very, very clear then if you're a marketing manager for one of these new sharing economy brands like a Lyft or an Uber or an EcoCaddy, or even, something like a Sheba. What you can do is to grow your brand is just to make sure that you have really simple, clear messages that come to mind when people are looking at transport options, that you have overcome some barriers, very simple things, like for example, putting the app on people's phone. They can't use you if they don't have you on their phone. And I've seen some very strong efforts in that space to make that happen. But just to remember to be available, to be a good competitive choice in that category, so that when someone opens for example, their Uber app, that they can see that they have drivers who are close by and are going to come to them. And that's simple as that. This is a great story for sharing economy mobility brands. They are normal, they are just new entrants to the market, which means they're just small brands. So all of their efforts need to really just be focused on letting people know that they're there, building mental, building physical availability. So it's been a really positive project. We wouldn't have been able to do it without the CRC because this is a very specialist set of circumstances in a brand new category, and it's very, very interesting, but it's just one of those wonderful situations where the market is still really small, and we probably wouldn't have been able to justify looking at it just yet without the help and support of the CRC. Well, now we've got findings that show how we can grow these really great brands, and we can also now compare our work to work in much more established markets overseas.